Hello, my name is Joel Manor. I'm Curriculum Team Leader of Philosophy and Social Sciences at Ralph Allen School. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the EduQuest Religious Studies A-Level. This is the A-Level that we study over years 12 and 13. Now, there are more questions than answers. Now, I'm just going to pick on a couple of questions here that kind of like tie in with two of the main subject areas that we look at in the A-Level. Why are we here? Is there a God? Two questions that will come up again and again in philosophy of religion. Again, these are questions that have, interested people since the dawn of time. But we're also looking at stuff to do with morality, like, do we have free will? Now, do we have free will, or is it just an illusion? Are we actually living in a deterministic universe where everything just happens and we assume we have free will, but in fact we could do nothing different than what we've already done? Again, key questions that come up all the way through the exam. Now, is this subject for you? If you love asking questions of people and basically trying to find out why things happen, how things happen, and why there is evil in the world, why bad stuff happens to good people and vice versa, then this subject could be the subject for you. Now, we would probably say that you do need a good standard of English because it's an essay-based subject. But again, it is about arguing, it's about thinking and thinking outside the box. Now, if we're looking at philosophers, my favourite philosopher here is a guy called David Hume. Now, David Hume was an atheist before you were allowed to be an atheist. He was someone who came up with the idea about the is-ought gap. Just because this is how things are doesn't mean how they're supposed to be. Now, again, if you assume, I eat meat, so therefore everyone should eat meat. Why? It's the question that just because you're doing it doesn't mean people have to do it. Now, he is my favourite philosopher because he's always very clever and he kind of gets very incisive and just down to the crux of the matter. Now, Miss Harrison, who is my co-teacher in the subject, her favourite philosopher is Immanuel Kant. Now, he was a deontologist. He said that, there are rules and you follow the rules exactly as they are. You could time your watch by him when he went for a walk around his town. If it was 3 o'clock, he'd be by the church. So he literally, was someone who said, this is how things are and this is how you follow that. So Miss Harrison's favourite philosopher there as well. Now, we also look at philosophies. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but idealism, number one there, okay? We have something that we live by. This is something that I'm passionate about, and it becomes your ideal, the thing that you'll follow. And the second one there is materialism, okay? I'm banging on the table right now, and materialism means that only material things, that's all there is. That's all the things that matter in the universe, okay? But there's lots of different philosophies that we look at that are listed down there as well. Now, what do you actually look at in the exam? Now, the first part is philosophy of religion. Now, philosophy of religion is about, does God exist? Why do, we believe the things we believe? Now, there are 4 main sections: inductive and deductive arguments for the existence of God, where you look at different reasons to why God might exist by looking at the universe and also looking at logical arguments. Now, the cosmological argument basically says that there must have been a beginning. That beginning must be God. The design argument says things appear to be designed, so must be designed by God. Ontological argument basically says, well, nothing can be considered greater than God, so therefore God must exist. Now, again, I don't particularly like the ontological argument, but again, that's part of what the subject is about, arguing. Now, challenges to religious belief, the problem of evil and suffering. If God is all good and God is all powerful and evil exists, that doesn't make God good, so it doesn't compute, and you have to argue about, is there a reason why God would allow evil to happen? Freud, Jung, and atheism. Freud believes that God is the ultimate alpha male. We are trying to, put someone up there who's looking after us in a cold, unloving universe. Jung believes that religion may not be true, but we're pre-programmed to believe in it because it gives us a sense of meaning. And we also look at atheism, particularly Richard Dawkins saying, religion is just pointless and has no meaning. We also look at religious experience, miracles, mysticism, and how science would look to, basically discredit it. We also look at religious language and the problems with religious language. Okay, now, quite simply, if you are a fan of football and you know what the offside rule is, that will make sense to you. If you don't like football, it will make no sense whatsoever. It's the same with religious language. If you're an atheist and someone uses the term God, what's God all about? If it has no meaning, if it's not verifiable, it can't actually be real. Now, the second part of the course is ethics, and we look at why we do the things we do. Now, ethical thought and theories, that first part there, divine command theory, virtue ethics, ethical egoism, naturalism, intuitionism, emotivism, lots of things there. But to sum that up, basically, is there a God up there telling us to do things? Should we just be looking at role models to do, what we do and not basically worry about what is good, just try and, be like other good people? Ethical egoism, should we just look after number one? Or naturalism, rules are made in the universe. Intuitionism, you can sense what good is. Or emotivism, murder, don't like that very much. Okay, deontological ethics, there is only one right. Teleological ethics, situation ethics, utilitarianism, it's kind of like doing the right thing in the right circumstance. Okay, so for instance, murder might be okay if you are stopping someone who is going to murder loads of other people. Okay, again, most people say you can't justify that. Other people would say maybe you can. Determinism and free will. Now, again, are we living in a pre-planned universe where we have the illusion of free will, or do we absolutely have free will to do what we decide to do? Now, the study of religion, we look at Christianity. Okay, we look at what Christians believe. We look at the values and teachings of Christians. We look at the Bible. We look at other sources of wisdom and authority. We look at how Christians work in the everyday world. We look at social and historical developments, such as women becoming priests. And also we look at something called liberation theology, which says that we should take care of the poor in basically, like places like South America. And this goes against, what some people would consider to be the bounds of what Christianity should be getting itself involved in. We also look at the work of scholars who criticize, what modern day Christians think about things, and also past Christians think about things, and trying to find a new interpretation. Now, again, philosophical questions that come up all the way through. How can I be sure that I really exist? Does God exist? Why is there evil and suffering in the world? This permeates itself all the way through the course. Okay. Has science disproved religion? Again, a very, very important one, and one that we look at all the way through. Now, again, as with all humanities subjects, religious studies is a helpful stepping stone to many careers. Now, again, we get this year in, year out, can you only become a vicar if you take RE? No, you can do loads more things than that. We have had students who've gone on to be very successful in medicine, social work, law, the armed forces, the police force, journalism, teaching, many, many more. Okay. And they've all gone on to, do very well. We've had numerous students who've gone on to Cambridge and Oxford who've done A-level religious studies as well. Now, again, frequently asked questions. Do you have to be religious? No, you don't have to be religious at all. Okay. The course challenges you to reflect on who you are. Okay. Do you have to have completed the full course of RS GCSE? Can help. But if you've done a similar course like sociology or history, there's no problem. Just, come speak to us and you should be able to take the course. And what degrees? Loads of different degrees. Okay, so if anyone tells you you can't get this with religious studies A-level, you can. Okay, it's a very respected A-level, and, you can do, virtually anything with it. Now, we've got an example of our exam results down the bottom. Now, we have done phenomenally well. We get higher results than the national average, and our students, in the past few years, no one has got below a C. They have done absolutely phenomenally well. Okay. Now, I'd like to say thank you for basically listening to what I've had to say. If you've got any further questions, please feel free to contact me at the school. And my email is j.mellor@ralphallenSchool.com. Okay. Thank you very much.